recorded and then
Oh, welcome everybody to another episode of A Circle of the Earth Fellowship. Hope y'all are having a good Sabbath. Hope y'all, if y'all haven't, check out the episode on Kingdom and Context last night. It was a fun conversation. Both me and AE Kyle were had a great conversation there with some fellow brothers. But anyway, so for tonight, we are going to be talking about evolution, right? It's so weird how close that is to that, and it's even interesting when you hear like British people say it, that they literally are like evolution. It like literally sounds like that. But as always, before we get into the topic for tonight, we will say hello to everyone on the panel, do a little housekeeping, and then get into it like always. So without further ado, welcome, Sister Marcia. Hope you're doing well. Hope your Sabbath is going well as well. And yeah, how's it going? Welcome.
time looking at the Northern Lights last night. There was a whole crew of us watching. Other people got better shots than I did, but anyway, shots of the lights. So
yeah, we were talking about that a little before the show started. And I think it's really interesting because, you know, with so many, with all the technology possible, I'm not saying it was real. I'm not saying it was fake. I just, you know, with all the speculation you could do about why we're seeing it so low, and it's very interesting at the very least, and it's cool that people were getting some cool shots and getting to see that. So that's awesome. Well, welcome, sister. Robert is not here tonight. He is sick, so everyone please have that sir in your prayers. That brother in your prayers, and hopefully he will be ready to go next weekend when we talk about the bugs that you can't talk about. But yeah, let's jump over to you, Kyle. Welcome, brother. Shabbat shalom. Good to see you.
Shabbat shalom. Good to see you guys. Yeah, this is a great topic, obviously intertwined in everything else we discuss, and I'm ready to destroy it. How about you guys?
Yeah, and it's not very hard to destroy it, to be honest, right? It's very easy. I literally, guys, had so many tabs. I started getting rid of some because this is more than 2 hours of content. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting one for sure. So I didn't hear from Frankie B, so he may or may not join us. I guess we shall see. But of course, anyone and everyone is always welcome to join the panel. And we'll talk about that in a little bit when we get to the housekeeping, actually right now. So let me go ahead and pull that up for everyone. And where's my first?
I was ready to destroy it.
Right.
Yeah. It's like clubbing a baby seal. It really is.
It's really easy. Yeah.
So first and foremost, I'd like to shout out to Chris and Liz Bailey over on Take on the World. They graciously share their platform with us, allow us to, watch their or share our puzzle pieces with their community. And so I always like to show my gratitude by shouting them out on each channel. And if you don't know, you're over on Take on the World, and you check us out. We do have our own YouTube channel as well, Circle of the Earth Fellowship. Links are in the description of all our videos. So if you'd like to support us, we would very so appreciate that. And as always, we like to read the comments from the past couple of from the previous video, and always like to give those people gratitude for doing so. So Wendy Rivers, I totally understand you here, sister, and I would love to have some really good feedback into this issue, because it seems like last time, I don't know how much of the episode you watched, but in the beginning I did a sound check and everyone said that the audio was good, but I am hearing that I was low afterward on the playback. So Not 100% sure. Would still love some feedback. I will keep my eyes on chat for if anyone does have any feedback for that topic or any other topics, of course. Okay, sweet. Let me pull.
We might get our feedback because I just told Robert, since he's watching us on YouTube, to check each one of our volumes. So separately.
So someone said Miguel Firmament Earth said his mic is so loud. I'm guessing he said so noise. So if I need to step back from it, I can totally do that. On my thing, it shows I'm in the yellow, which is good. That means it's accepting it. But if y'all aren't hearing it, it's too loud, it's too soft, please let me know. So, but anyways, thank you, Wendy. I would love feedback in the chat. I'll keep my eyes on it. Okay, and then Moonglow, thank you. Thank you, as always. It does really help the channel, even something simple as a thank you. It does go a long way. So, thanks again. Oh, that's weird. It's not loading. I for sure already loaded this, so I'm kind of... Oh, it's because I'm looking at this one. I'm so silly. Okay,
he said not your mic, meaning you, Vader. So maybe it's me. The guy with the glasses, Kyle.
Oh, it's mine.
Yeah, see, I hear you fine, but I will turn you up and see if that helps.
Is mine low or high?
No, he didn't say. He said noise.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever that means.
Is that feedback?
Don't know. You sound fine to me, but
I'll keep watching, Miguel. See what you
got to
say, brother.
Yeah, because I'll pop back in. Yeah, I might as well just do that.
Okay, so over on the Circle of Earth Fellowship, we got 2 comments from Richard Wright 752 said, "Good one, guys." Yeah, we enjoyed it. It was a fun episode for sure. And then Halam Bitshatar, I'm not really sure how to say that. Keep it, bro. Thank you. Keep it up. I appreciate that. Sweet. Okay, that's the comments. Again, we are over on Discord, so if you're interested in joining these conversation or joining the after shows where we get to have much more uncensored conversation about these and other topics, that is the place to do it. Again, link is in the description. We also have a merch store if you're interested in supporting the channel, the fellowship financially. You get a cool piece of merch. I get $5. And to me, that's a win-win instead of just straight up donating, though that is an option through this website if you're interested. That being said, I just would like to shout a couple of resources. Bible Gateway, Bible Hub, great resources, have the concordances, the lexicons, all the different versions. Definitely check it out if you need some, if you're looking for some great resources. Another one that I like is Sacred Texts. They have the Apocrypha, and of course that includes the Book of Enoch, which I very so much give credit to, as well as the Book of Jubilees. And if you didn't know, we're currently doing a reading through the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, and we're actually we got our last 2. We're going to be doing Joseph this weekend, and then Benjamin the next weekend, and for the Peace Seeker series. So check that out if you're interested. All right, sweet. So I can go ahead and just get rid of that whole window. Get rid of that.
And then read the chat, Vader. They say Vader's a little low. Kyle has too much gain, and Kyle and I are both a bit loud, and you're still low like it was last week.
I turned mine down a little bit, so it might have helped.
I turned my mic down.
Oh, how do you do that?
Helps. And if they're saying I'm a little low, I just probably need to get closer to my mic. Maybe I need to get one of those things that makes it right here.
You're breaking up. It's Frankie B, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome, brother.
He's making noise.
Sorry, I'm late.
It's okay. Welcome, brother. We just got done with the... Oh, will you mute yourself when you're not talking? It is giving me feedback. But we just got done with the housekeeping. We're going to give a little explanation on the topic that we're talking today. And then we'll get into the conversation. So yeah, let's get into that real quick after we get an introduction from our brother Frankie B. Welcome, brother.
Hey, shalom, everyone. I hope everybody had a great week. Me and the wife went out to dinner. I just got back. Sorry I'm late. Let's do this. Showtime.
Mute. Okay.
You're muted, baby.
Sounds like a helicopter, they say, when
it does.
when you're not
It's so
muted.
crazy. It's when he's unmuted and not talking, it sounds crazy like that. But anyways,
Yeah.
So modern science has asked many questions about the origin of life on Earth and stands on many unverifiable theories at best. Many of those theories have come along to explain this process, but they often require that each individual suspend their disbelief for it to have a chance to be accepted. Even with their theory of spontaneous life, including having all the needed requirements of life, all in the right place at the right time, they cannot reproduce this event in the lab. How can so much life and biodiversity exist if irreducible complexity is observable? How can this theory and scripture be coherent? Join us as we discuss the topic of evolution and the implications for our and future generations' lives from the perspective of believers seeking the puzzle pieces of truth. So yeah, we got tons. I got tons and tons and tons to share. So let's go ahead and bring that up and on screen for everyone, and then we will get into it. Oh, wrong button. What is it doing? Oh, I'm hitting the wrong button again. Oh, it's doing that weird thing again. I might have to disconnect and then jump back in. Let's see. Start my camera. Share. Yeah, let's go ahead and drop cameras for now, guys. I feel like I'm getting a little on the lag side. Oh, there it goes. It's starting to want to share. This one. It's kind of weird. It's not showing up all the way. Oh, it's being so weird. Hopefully, no, we're not having any connection issues. Okay, don't forget to click. Okay, still, hopefully the audio is still good. I don't know why it's being like this. As you can see, my screen's just lagging. I don't have any connection issues or anything going on. So I might have to do this. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to go to my prep screen. Close this. And let's pull this up again. Over here. Pop that out. Okay. There we go. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Just need to pull that up on screen for everyone. And okay. Let's pull this up. Since we don't put our cameras on, I'm just going to get rid of that so y'all can see it bigger. Okay, so first what I want to start off with, before we do that, first what I want to start off with is kind of something I indicated within the description of the video, and that is irreducible complexity. Now, there's also specified complexity. We'll be talking about both of them. But that's these concepts that as the scientific fields have progressed, and after new technology has coming out for them to look at these things or verify these these claims or these ideas, and as kind of all the other industries or science fields kind of caught up. They kind of came to some pretty big block walls, and one of those block walls, if anyone is intellectually honest, in my opinion, is irreducible complexity, this is the wrong one. Is irreducible complexity. So we're gonna start off with this video. and then we're going to check out a few articles, and then we'll keep the discussion going. So bring this up for everyone. All full screen like. And I know it is a little annoying, but I will have this kind of screen up here. Let's get that a little bit darker so it's not obscuring so much. Almost done here. Just bear with me. Let's get that 25. Okay. Perfect. I think that should be good enough. But let's check this out.
For the longest time, I believed that Darwinian evolution explains what we saw in biology. Not because I saw how it could actually explain it, but because I was told that it did explain it. In schools, I was taught Darwinian biology. And through college and graduate school, I was in an atmosphere which just assumed that Darwinian evolution explained biology. And again, I didn't have any reason to doubt it. It wasn't until about 10 years or more ago that I read a book called Evolution: A Theory in Crisis by a geneticist by the name of Michael Denton, an Australian. And he put forward a lot of scientific arguments against Darwinian theory that I had never heard before. And the arguments seemed pretty convincing. And at that point I started to get a bit angry, because I thought I was being led down the primrose path. Here were a number of very good arguments, and I had gone through a doctoral program in biochemistry, became a faculty member, and I had never even heard of these things. And so from that point on, I became very interested in the question of evolution, and since have decided that Darwinian processes are not the whole explanation for life.
Michael Behe's skepticism derived in large measure from what modern biology has revealed about life's most fundamental unit, the cell.
In the 19th century, when Darwin was alive, scientists thought that the basis of life, the cell, was some simple glob of protoplasm, like a little piece of jello or something that was not hard to explain at all.
This perception didn't really change too much until the early 1950s. But in the last half century, our knowledge of the cell has just exploded.
Today, powerful technologies reveal elaborate microscopic worlds. Worlds so small that a thimbleful of cultured liquid can contain more than 4 billion single-cell bacteria, each packed with circuits, assembly instructions, and miniature machines, the complexity of which Charles Darwin could never have imagined.
At the very basis of life, where molecules and cells run the show, we've discovered machines, literally molecular machines. There are little molecular trucks that carry supplies from one end of the cell to the other. There are machines which capture the energy from sunlight and turn it into usable energy. When we look at these machines, we ask ourselves, where do they come from? And the standard answer, Darwinian evolution, is very inadequate in my view.
One machine particularly attracted his attention.
I remember the first time I looked in a biochemistry textbook and I saw a drawing of something called the bacterial flagellum, with all of its parts in all of its glory. It had a propeller and the hook region and the drive shaft and the motor and so on. I looked at that and I said, that's an outboard motor. That's designed, that's no chance assemblage of parts.
Behe's reaction was not surprising, for the molecular motors that drive bacteria through liquid each depend upon a system of intricately arranged mechanical parts. These parts come into focus when portions of a cell are magnified 50,000 times. Biochemists have used electron micrographs like this one to identify the parts and three-dimensional structure of the flagellar motor. In the process, they have revealed a marvel of engineering on a miniaturized scale.
Howard Berg at Harvard has labeled it the most efficient machine in the universe. These machines, some of them are running at 100,000 RPMs and are hardwired into a signal transduction or sensory mechanism so that it's getting feedback from the environment.
And even though they're spinning that fast, they can stop on a dime. It only takes a quarter turn for them to stop and shift directions and start spinning 100,000 RPM in the other direction.
And just like outboard motors on motorboats, it has a large number of parts which are necessary for the motor to work.
The bacterial flagellum, 2 gears, forward and reverse, water-cooled, proton motive force. It has a stator, it has a rotor, it has a U-joint, it has a drive shaft, it has a propeller, and they function as these parts of machines. It's not convenient that we give them these names. That's truly their function.
Since its discovery, scientists have tried to understand how a rotary motor could have arisen through natural selection. As yet, they have failed to offer any detailed Darwinian explanation. To see why, we must understand a feature of molecular machines known as irreducible complexity.
Irreducible complexity was coined by Mike Behe in describing these molecular machines. Basically what it says is that you have multi-component parts to any given organelle or system in a cell, all of which are necessary for function. That is, if you remove one part, you lose function of that system.
The idea of irreducible complexity can be illustrated by a familiar, non-biological machine, a mousetrap. The trap is composed of 5 basic pieces: a catch to hold the bait, a strong spring, a thin bent rod called the hammer, a holding bar to secure the hammer in place, and a platform upon which the entire system is mounted. If any one of these parts is missing or defective, the mechanism will not work. All components of this irreducibly complex system must be present simultaneously for the machine to perform its function, catching mice. Irreducible complexity also applies to biological machines, including the bacterial flagellar motor.
All told, there are about 40 different protein parts which are necessary for this machine to work. And if any of those parts are missing, then either you get a flagellum that doesn't work because it's missing the hook or it's missing the drive shaft or whatever, or it doesn't even get built within the cell.
In evolutionary terms, you have to be able to explain how you can build this system gradually when there's no function until you have all those parts in place.
But could Darwin's small, favorable variations have produced a bacterial flagellum? Some scientists doubt the possibility.
How could something new, like a bacteria flagellar motor and all of the components that go with it, how could it develop out of a population of bacteria that don't have that system? When each change, according to Darwin's theory, has to provide some kind of advantage.
Imagine such a scenario early in the Earth's history. An evolving bacterium somehow develops a tail and perhaps even the pieces necessary to attach it to the cell wall. Yet without a complete motor assembly, this innovation would provide no advantage to the cell. Instead, the tail would lie immobile and useless, invisible to natural selection, which by definition can only favor changes that aid survival.
The logic of natural selection is very demanding. Unless the flagellum mechanism is completely assembled and actually works, natural selection simply cannot preserve it. It cannot be passed on to the next generation.
The important thing to realize about natural selection is it selects only for a functional advantage. In most cases, natural selection actually eliminates things that have no function or that have a function that harms the organism. So if you had a bacterium with a tail that didn't function as a flagellum, chances are natural selection would eliminate it. The only way you can select for a flagellum is if you have a flagellum that works, and that means you have to have all the pieces of the motor in place to begin with. So natural selection can't get you the bacterial flagellum. It can only work after the flagellum is there and operating.
In 1996, Michael Behe published a book titled Darwin's Black Box. In it, he argued that natural selection, Darwin's designer substitute, could not explain the origin of the bacterial flagellum or any other irreducibly complex biological system. Instead, Behe concluded that the integrated complexity of these systems pointed to intelligent design. Darwin's black box created immediate controversy. Over 75 publications, including some of the world's leading newspapers and scientific journals, reviewed the book. Some scientists praised Behe's work, while others dismissed it as unscientific and religiously motivated. Behe's critics also insisted that he had underestimated the power of natural selection. They argued that the flagellar motor could have been constructed from parts used to build simpler molecular machines, like this needle-nose cellular pump. If the components of the pump already existed, they could have been preserved by natural selection even before the bacterial motor arose. This theory is called co-option.
It's essentially saying that evolution or natural selection at some point was able to borrow components of one molecular machine and build a new machine with some of these components.
Scott Minnick has studied the flagellar motor for nearly 20 years. His research has led him to challenge the co-option argument.
With a bacterial flagellum, you're talking about a machine that's got 40 structural parts. Yes, we find 10 of them are involved in another molecular machine, but the other 30 are unique. So where are you going to borrow them from? Eventually, you're going to have to account for the function of every single part as originally having some other purpose. So you can only follow that argument so far until you run into the problem of you're borrowing parts from nothing. But even if you concede that you have all the parts necessary to build one of these machines, that's only part of the problem. Maybe even more complex, I think more complex, is the assembly instructions. That is never addressed by opponents of the irreducible complexity argument.
Studies of the bacterial
sorry about that brief pause in audio. So I wanted to stop it there real quick because I kind of want to hone in on something. So we're really talking about the small, and I think, you know, we'll get a little bit into the fossil record. We'll get a little bit into, you know, the evolution of humans and dinosaurs and all. We'll get into that. But I really wanted and purposely wanted to start with the small. Because to me, and chime in if any thoughts, if y'all have, please chime in. But to me, these things, when you chop it down to the smallest part, and we're looking at things that, you know, is evident, you see that same type of behavior where you start getting these mental gymnastics in order to basically make it possible, right? And that's why I named this spin disbelief, because you really have to do that. Like you just saw, like, oh, well, the pump, even though it has different, you know, it has only some similar parts, but not all of them, where did all those other parts come from? And as I kind of talked about in my description, how they've never been able to take the, you know, the basis proteins and amino acids of life, put them in a petri dish, shock them, and create new life. They say they know how life was created, you know, as a matter of fact, yet they've never been able to reproduce that. And that's obviously because it has nothing to do with what they say. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, it's not only have they not ever been able to reproduce it, and they claim it happens naturally from non-living matter, back, you know, basically dust and water and electricity creating the first living microbes. But when they talk about the assemblies of these bacteria, you can't remove anything from them. You can't add anything to them. There is no further evolution that can happen, and there isn't a point that they could have like got to that point. They just had to be created like that and work like that perfectly to exist. There is no logical stages of evolution when discussing irreducible complexity. It's the whole point of it is that when we break down pretty much any organism, any cell, anything down to its, the smallest form we possibly can, it gets so complex that there's nothing we can add or subtract from it that will allow it to continue in its processes. And they do the same thing with cells. They know, okay, yeah, you have the parts of the cell that do different operations, but they still don't understand any aspect of what those cells do. Or just like the bacteria, or what's in, a sperm cell is the same thing as what's in these bacteria, that little flagellum twirler thing. I remember seeing that in high school, or middle school, something sex ed. Yeah, it's interesting how these things can only exist as they are, and you cannot change them.
Yeah, and the fact that they're so small, like we're to me, the reason why I want to talk about the small specifically is you nailed it, right? Is the irreducible complexity, because these things are so precise that how could something possibly evolve? And it kind of makes me think of, unfortunately that got blocked when we had Josh from Founded Earth Brothers come on. Oh my gosh, that was such a banned episode. I've tried multiple times to upload. Anyways, we were talking about the ants, specifically the grass cutter ants, and how you take one of those quote unquote mutations away and their whole system crashes. And so we're talking about something even smaller, right? And something even more complex, and yet we're still seeing design elements within it. And it, to me, I don't see how it could ever be overlooked.
Yeah, it's insane. It's just as insane as termites making their own, thermal barriers in trees to create, living habitats that are like little labyrinths that the air moves in such perfect ways that allows like a microclimate inside of the tree. It's it for anyone to imagine these things just evolved like that would say that the person obviously doesn't understand the life form itself, because if they did, they would look at the parts that make it up and you'd say, okay, that didn't come about, that had to be created, that's a machine.
Yeah, and
Yep.
isn't it interesting how often, like that the doctor said, the scientist said, how they want to skip these conversations. They don't want to talk about the issues with the single cell organisms. They want to show you how monkeys and humans have the same looking hands. And how their how their lips and eyes and eyebrows look the same, right? Like they want to skip all the detail, right? Because the devil's in the detail.
Right.
Sure. And you know what? We're all created from the Father. We all come from the Father. And if there's relations between like human beings and other animals, such as monkeys or whatever, if there's similarities between how we function, that's part of the Father's design. That's not just natural selection and random happenstance. Us, coming from our ape ancestor cousins over there. It's the fact that he has a specific blueprint or a fingerprint that he has on all of his design, such as like the Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio. There is an innate mathematical understanding in all of his creation that that resonates through all of it. There isn't anything that doesn't have that signature, that mark of the Father.
Yeah, they often use the fact that there are similarities or crossovers in all of the Father's creation as proof of an evolutionary system, even though it's a proof of a designer, of a creator that created all of them.
Exactly. Yes.
Not just a whole bunch of random things that just so happened to work out that they were so, coincidentally similar.
It just fools us to, like, it's like the globe thing where, you have to believe that the Earth fools you into believing something that isn't true. The Earth seems like it's stationary, but really it's moving. We seem like we're intelligently designed, but we really come from monkeys.
Yeah,
Good,
it's
good.
and that's suspending your disbelief, right? Like that's really what you're doing when you kind of make those decisions. Let's finish off this. We got a couple minutes. And
Yeah,
then,
before you finish off,
go ahead.
we are wonderfully designed, like the Bible says, and that we have trillions of cells that work together to create health, wholeness, fullness, and there's no denying that we have a creator that created us in his image, and we have the spark of his divinity in us. I mean, it's just preposterous to even come up with that scenario that we're not designed by a creator.
Yeah,
You know what I
and
mean?
yeah, no, absolutely. And I think we're not heliocentrics here, but I think that goes right along with it, right? Where that's where how all these things. One of the ways that all these things connect is that the heliocentric model makes this type of confusion possible. Because if there was a Big Bang as they described, if evolution happened on Earth as they described, then of course it could happen all over the galaxy, right? And all the different thoughts that really puts in people's spirits that they may not even know. Yeah, it's quite intense. And then lastly, you were talking about. Oh, I lost it. I apologize. Okay, let's finish this and we'll keep on chugging. Oh, did not go. Let's try it again.
Material motor have indeed revealed an even deeper level of complexity. For its construction not only requires specific parts, but also a precise sequence of assembly.
You've got to make things at the right time. You've got to make the right number of components. You've got to assemble them in a sequential manner. You've got to be able to tell if you've assembled it properly so that you don't waste energy building a structure that's not going to be functional.
Building a molecular machine has been compared to the construction. So it is with the construction of a flagellar motor.
You build this structure from the inside out. You are counting the number of components in a ring structure or the stator, and once that's assembled, there's feedback that says, okay, no more of that component now. A rod is added, a ring is added, another rod is added, U-joint's added. Once the U-joint's at a certain size and a certain degree of bend, about a quarter turn, that's shut off, and then you start adding components for the propeller. These are all made in a precise sequence, just like you would build a building.
To build a motor correctly requires a complex system of machines that coordinate the timing of the assembly instructions. But how could natural selection construct such a system?
The co-option argument doesn't explain this. You see, in order to construct that flagellar mechanism, or tens of thousands of other such mechanisms in the cell, you require other machines to regulate the assembly of these structures. And those machines themselves require machines for their assembly.
If even one of these pieces is missing or put in the wrong place, your motor isn't going to work. So this apparatus to assemble the flagellar motor is itself irreducibly complex. In fact, what we have here is irreducible complexity all the way down.
We know a lot about the bacterial flagellum. We still have a lot to learn, but we know a lot about it. And there's no explanation for how this complex molecular machine was ever produced by a Darwinian mechanism.
150 years ago, scientists did not know about irreducibly complex molecular machines. Yet Charles Darwin anticipated the difficulty that systems such as these could pose to his theory.
If it could be demonstrated that any complex organ existed which could not possibly have been formed by numerous successive slight modifications, my theory would absolutely break down.
How dare you? Hopefully y'all enjoyed that that video. It's it's always interesting, right? And I'm not really sure what else to I'm not really sure what to compare this to. But isn't it so interesting how when other scientific minded people that are within the scientific community, when they bring facts to the front, and those facts that they share lend themselves towards the evidence that there is a creator, then all of a sudden those scientists have some hidden agenda of bringing religion into the scientific community. It's so interesting to me because it's like, they get so much heat, but they're really they're the real scientists. They're the real ones using the real scientific method, really breaking these things down, making hypothesizing, theorizing, and then you have these other people who come along who disagree on the pure basis, basically, because it has an insinuation that there is a creator, and even though their view, the people that are angry and upset about that, their scientism view takes more belief than the person that's just showing the evidence of what they found. Isn't it mind-blowing?
It is mind-blowing. It is mind-blowing. And Vader, you are low.
Okay.
Yeah, what was that Tesla quote where he said, today's scientists have replaced mathematics for theories and basically replaced everything with theories instead of actual experimentation, and it's led them to something that leads to no foundation on reality. Horribly butchered that quote there.
Totally, but totally what you're saying, I guess, kind of saying it in the description, right? How it's like their system has been so set up, definitely with the modern academics, and the papers, right? And where they publish these papers, we've seen the things where people put in these outlandish theories that they just pass because the title sounds good, but the science is completely nothing, purposefully nothing. And yet ones that actually critique and kind of get down to the nitty gritty, to the truth, those are rejected. Those people are scoffers. We saw that last weekend, right, with the dinosaur, where what are they called? A paleontologist, believed that he found a triceratops bone and had found soft tissue within those bones, and he was shunned in the community. He was fired because he made these claims from the evidence that he had. It's so preposterous.
It is.
Yeah. Mark Armitage is a legend too, and luckily because of his work, there are many others who were very, paleontologists who had gone into the field believing in evolution, believing in the whole thing, and then when they heard that the concept that there might actually be, remaining flesh and tissue inside of these bones, it immediately made them curious, and it overrid the immediate indoctrination where they were like, I can't believe this, but I want to know. And seems like there's a lot more coming out now that are talking about this, which is awesome.
You're muted.
Oh, sweet. Awesome. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to share, we don't have to jump off video because I'm just going to share some articles. I don't think this should affect it. I'm hoping it won't. This one. Okay, here we go. So, okay. So, well, let's go to here real quick, and then we'll go to that one. we'll kind of go down the line. Okay, so this
before
go
you
ahead.
start, it's so amazing how our bodies can heal themselves. We get a cut, it heals within a week. We break a limb, it heals within 6 weeks. I mean, it's amazing, and they're constantly trying to throw pharmacia at us and testing us for all these different diseases when our bodies are so wonderfully made that we can even heal ourselves. It's amazing. And if you know anything about cancer, it's your body putting everything into a tumor so that it can actually eat that tumor if you do aggressive fasting and you take the precautions that you need to even heal yourself. And it's so divinely and wonderfully it creation is amazing. It blows me away. The more things I find out about how we were made, it just blows my mind. It's just so amazing, so
Yes,
wonderful.
absolutely,
We
and
don't need
for
anything that they're trying to give us. We
Yeah.
really don't.
Yeah, and for Grabbler Tube, this is not medical advice. Please consult a doctor for such advice. This is just people's opinions and us talking about what we believe and what we think. So please do not grabble us. So let's jump into specified complexity. So this is adjacent or parallel with irreducible complexity, and we're gonna read a little bit of this and kind of talk about it. So. Specified complexity is a creationist argument introduced by William Dimbisk, used by advocates to promote the pseudoscience of intellect design. That's really weird to say intellectual design. But look, it says promote the pseudoscience of intellectual design. It's pseudoscience, guys. It's pseudoscience. Interesting. According to Dembski, the concept can formalize a property that singles out patterns that are both specified and complex. While in Dembski's terminology, a specified pattern is one that emits short descriptions, whereas complex pattern is one that is likely to occur by chance. Proponents of intellectual design use specified complexity as one of the main two arguments along irreducible complexity. Dembski argues that it is impossible for specified complexity to exist in patterns displayed by configurations formed by unguided processes. Therefore, Dembski argues, the fact that specified complexity patterns can be found in living things indicates some kind of guidance in their formation, which is an indicative of intelligence. Dembski further argues that one can show by applying no free lunch theorem the inability of evolution algorithms to select or generate configurations of high specified complexity. Dembski states that a specified complexity is a reliable marker of a design by an intellectual agent, a central tenet to intellectual design, which Dembski argues is in opposition to modern evolutionary theory. Specified complexity is what Dembski terms as explanatory filter. One can recognize design by detecting complex specified information. Dembski argues that the unguided emergence of CSI solely according to known physical laws and chance is highly improbable. So it even states it in here, right? This argument coincides with irreducible complexity because they go right into hand together. I think this intellectual design, this watch, is a very good example of that, right? Because you need all these parts for it to be, and the fact that all these parts are arranged in such an order that they are lends logic to say that someone created it. And so just as we looked at that previous video with irreducible complexity, we saw it's the same type of thing. And in that example, however, you every single piece needs to be there, or the function does not work. Therefore, it is also specified complexity. Any thoughts from anyone?
No, but
Sweet. So just a little more on the technical side. Now this is from Answers in Genesis. They, as always, eat the meat, leave the bones, with these people and with anyone, with us, right? This is can evolution produce an eye? Not a chance. Now this is from obviously a more religious view, being Answers in Genesis. Which they, of course, skip a lot of answers in Genesis, but I digress. So here, let's check this out. The human brain consists of approximately 12 billion cells, forming 120 trillion interconnections. The light-sensitive retina of the eye, which is really part of the brain, contains over 10 million photoreceptors cells. These cells capture the light pattern formed by the lens and convert it into a complex electrical signal, which are then sent to a special area of the brain where they are transformed into the sensation we call vision. In an article in Byte magazine, April 1985, John Stephen compares the signal process ability of the cells in the retina with that of the most sophisticated computer designed by man, the Cray supercomputer. While today's digital hardware is extremely impressive, it is clear that through that the human's retina's real-time performance goes unchallenged. Actually, to simulate 10 milliseconds, wow, 1/100th of a second, on the complete processing of a single nerve cell from the retina would require the resolution of about 500 simultaneous nonlinear differential equations 100 times, and it would take at least several minutes of processing time on a Cray supercomputer. Keep in mind that there are 10 million or more such cells interacting with each other in complex ways. It would take a minimum of 100 years of Cray time to simulate what takes place in your eye many times every second. So I'm not going to go too far into this, but as you can see, even something as simple, I got more talking about the eye, but you can see something as small as comparison to the rest of our body, our eye, is so complex that it says it would take a supercomputer 100 years at that point in time to simulate what it would take, what would happen in your eye 10 million times multiple times a second. And so the amount of information, the amount of irreducible complexity and specified complexity within the human eye is so much that if we could blow it up and see it as a like a factory, it would be a marvel of engineering. And it, of course, it is. So I'm going to jump over here real quick to this one, and then we're going to jump to that one, which is a different way. Okay, so this is from UMass Chan Medical School, and it's there's this article about the eye and the retina, and I'm gonna read this here real quick. So it says, the eye has always been an organ of controversy for evolutionary biologists. The difference in the eye structure between a spider and a human is so stark that it seems illogical that both eyes should be evolutionary related. It was therefore assumed, given the vast variety of eye structures found in nature, that the eye must have arisen by random chance more than 40 individual times during evolution. Charles Darwin knew that with his theory of evolution, he was able to explain that once an eye was created by a random chance, then selective pressure would give rise to the diversity seen within the different species. But within that logic was a basic problem. Opponents of Darwin's theory rightly pointed out it seems to be impossible that such a perfect organ like the eye could have evolved by random chance more than 40 times. The solution for Darwin was to postulate that a simple prototype eye evolved only once very early in evolution, which then through natural selection could have given rise to the diversity presented in nature. Modern molecular biology has now provided supportive evidence for such an idea. Genes that indicate eye's development seem to be conserved throughout the animal kingdom, suggesting that the birth of the eye was a single event in evolution. Okay, So I'm going to pause this real quick, and we're going to go watch a video, guys. It's a short 1-minute video. Y'all don't even have to jump off camera. Don't worry about jumping off camera. Just a quick little video. And so they want to say that at some point, like the video I'm going to show you, that at some point, the eye just randomly came into existence. And if it wasn't for that randomly coming into existence, and then the 40 random chances of its mutation, that is how we're seeing the diversity of just the eye within the population. And it really doesn't make any sense, right? Because once you got an eye, why would you change it up? Why don't we have fly eyes? Why don't we have lizard eyes?
Right.
Why was there ever a need if the basic point of the eye had changed? Why would it would ever go any further? So real quick, 1:06 video. Hopefully there will be no loading issues, and y'all will just get to see it. And of course, okay, here we go. This is what you just suspend your disbelief, guys.
Did you need the cameras cut?
Yeah, let's go ahead and cut cameras, guys. I'm sorry. Even a 1-minute video gives us problems. Human evolution in 1 minute gave us trans kids. Okay, let's go. Did y'all miss it? Did y'all miss it?
I'm sorry. It just kind of like all of a sudden had an eye. I didn't see that.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so there's a flatworm.
Oh.
Went from a
Is this the
worm.
line?
It went from a worm to a fish with an eye. Wow, that's pretty interesting. Let's check
I
this.
like how it started off as like a small dot though, and grew into like a full circle. So you know it was evolving.
Yeah. I'm gonna restart it. Also, watch over here, guys, because anyone has a recollection or even the ability to comprehend what 525 million years is like. So watch. Let's start it over. I'll let it play all the way through. Pretty interesting what they put there at the end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How literally how preposterous is that, guys? Like it's yeah, it's so insane. Okay, so
I still think.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I still think they skipped over a lot of the evolution, and they forgot the whole start of it. There's the whole process of that no one knows how it happened, but the lightning bolt struck the primordial ocean soup, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
somehow non-living matter just like organized together and became complex proteins and found something to eat quickly, and Yeah.
Isn't there weird that there's no two-cell organisms? It's either one cell or multi-cell. You know, it didn't
Right.
go 1, 2, 4, 8, 12, 16. You know, like it didn't double like that. It literally just went one and then multiple.
Yep.
And so, yeah, you're right. They skip over so much. They have to because it's so preposterous. And even when you were going through that, right? And I'm not saying what that image was the actual representation of what they believe, but even in the ones that they actually show, you see these changes where you're like, well, why would it do that? Why would it go from having feet to going back to fins to going back to have feet? Or why would it go have fins and then go on land to have feet and then come back on into the water to have fins?
Like a whale. Yeah, like they claim the whale. Yeah, it is preposterous, and it always begs the question of like how can something that innately pulls oxygen from water all of a sudden just pop up on land and start breathing air? Oh, I think you're muted.
So this is the article. I hate stuff like this. It makes you give them the email to read it or whatever. So all I did is refresh the page, press Control All, and then copy pasted it into a notepad. So we will be looking at that instead of giving them my information. Oh, wrong button. Apologize. Let's get rid of that. And share screen, change window. So we're going to jump over to that really quickly. What's going on? Is it showing? Okay, sorry. I gotta drop the stream and then bring it up. Share screen. Applications. Okay, there we go. Oh, wrong one. Okay, here we go. So this is from the Scientific American. This is from July 1st, 2011. Evolution and the eye. Scientists have a clear vision on how the notorious complex eye came to be. So we're only going to read a little bit of this, but the human eye is an exquisitely complicated organ. It acts like a camera to collect and focus light and to convert it into an electrical signal that the brain translates into images. But instead of photographic film, it has a highly specialized retina that detects light and processes the signal using dozens of different kinds of neurons. So intricate is the eye that its origin has long been a cause of issue among creationists and intellectual design proponents who hold it up as a prime example of what they term irreducible complexity, a system that cannot function in the absence of any of its components and therefore cannot have evolved naturally from a primitive form. Indeed, Charles Darwin and himself acknowledged in On the Origin of the Species, the 1859 book, detailing his theory of evolution by natural selection, that it might seem absurd to think the eye formed by natural selection. He nevertheless firmly believed that the eye did evolve in this way, despite a lack of evidence for intermediate forms at the time. So yeah, isn't that what we all deal with within the scientific difficult community in all the different areas? Is they have no evidence, despite the lack of evidence for the intermediate forms at the time. They can't show the progression. They literally have to come to a faith moment where they say, we just believe that at some point the eye was randomly evolved, and then through natural selection we now have all the different eyes that we have. It's so preposterous. Let me read this last article and then we'll keep chugging. Direct evidence has continued to be hard to come by, obviously. Whereas scholars who study the evolution of the skeleton can readily document its metamorphosis in fossil record. We'll get to the fossil record in a little bit. Soft tissue structures rarely fossilize. And even when they do, the fossils do not preserve nearly enough detail to establish how the structures evolved. How convenient that your information cannot be verifiable or testable. And even when they do the false, still biologists have recently made significant advances in tracing the origin of the eye by studying how its form in developing embryos and by comparing eye structures and genes across the species to reconstruct the eye trait arose. The results indicate that our kind of eye, the type common across vertebrates, took shape in less than 100 million years, evolving from a simple light sensor from a Akkadian daily and a sensoral rhythm around 600 million years ago to an optical and neurological sophisticated organ by 500 million years ago. More than 150 years after Darwin published his groundbreaking theory, these findings put the nail in the coffin of irreducible complexity and beautiful support Darwin's ideas. BS. They also explain why the eye, far from being a perfect engineered piece of machinery, exhibits a number of major flaws. These flaws are scars of evolution. Natural selection does not, as some might think, result in perfection. It tinkers with the material available to it, sometimes to odd effect. Oh, it tinkers. It just messes around and kind of, I'm just scatting. We're just riffing. What is the? It's so preposterous. What are y'all's thoughts
Just
about
going
what I just
around
read?
trying to find out what new thing it can make. Whatever.
Yeah, and
Yes.
we're gonna get into the timing here in just a minute about this 100 million, 500 million, 600 million. What were you gonna say, Kyle?
Yeah, the whole scars of evolution because eyes aren't perfect. I mean, this is the same mentality that transhumanists think is that, human beings' eyes aren't perfect and we can blend our eyes with other animal species that have more perfect eyes because they were developed in more perfect ways through evolution because they had to go through more, certain circumstances that gave them those qualities. So it just a lot of the language just sounds very familiar to me as all
Oh yeah,
the
it's
theology.
yeah, no, it's connected one for one, no doubt. They kind of have their foundation of wanting to have transhumanism is that of natural selection, right? But they want to take it a step further. It's like, no, it's no longer natural selection. With our intellect, we will overcome these major flaws of the evolutionary system by our own intellect, right? And of course, they have to go to
It'll
that
be next part of next week's episode.
yeah. So it's so interesting, and I just want to point out real quick before we drop this how it literally says, okay, so they're literally, think about how this is structured. They say, oh, they've been working on these things. The results indicate that our kind of eye, right? They give you all this. We know it took 100 million, 600 million, 500 million, and then it says more than 150 years after Darwin published his groundbreaking theory, these findings put the nail in the coffin of irreducible complexity and beautifully support Darwin's ideas. What findings? All you did was list off multiple different millions of years, which you can't verify, and then say that is beautifully supports his ridiculous theory. It's so preposterous.
Once again, no evidence. Long timelines with no evidence.
I think you're muted, Vader.
Oh, I apologize, everyone. Why isn't it pulling up? Okay, give me a second. Let me pull this. Oh, it's because it's not up over here. Okay, let's get rid of that one. Okay, so I want to talk real quick. We brought up the math, and well, no, let's go to this video, and we'll bring up the math in a second. I'm gonna jump over to some of Kyle's
Math? I'm not good at math.
No, well, I'm not. You don't have to understand math. You'll understand the concept, though. I'm gonna actually skip that. I'm gonna kind of go back up to the
Quiz.
what?
I was telling Miss Marsha I was going to give her a quiz.
Oh, I'm gonna play
What?
this ODD TV. It's a 12-minute video, and then we will kind of jump back. So let me pull that up. Live. Grab that. Big. Is it going? Okay, there it goes. Get rid of us. All right, let's show.
History from the
Did you skip that, or did it skip itself? Did you share it at 2 minutes?
I don't.
Okay.
I may have.
It's okay.
I didn't know it shared the same time I was at when you share the video. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, no worries. We'll just we'll start from the beginning. Shout out to ODD TV.
Yeah.
ODD TV.
Erasmus.
Of course.
Darn.
Darwin, the grandfather of Charles Darwin, was a Freemason and a member of the Royal Society, and he first proposed the
Well, that sucks.
theory of evolution in 1794 in his.
I apologize, everyone. It's so unfortunate that it does this, but it is what it is. Okay, I'm gonna refresh this. Let's come back to this. So dumb. Let's see, I bet you this will play pretty good. Evolution debunked in 5 minutes.
I was a school teacher. Do you know when I was a school teacher, they told me that I had to teach a thing called evolution?
I know this is so entertaining to watch. It's like as soon as these things start happening, I literally watch like 4 people drop off, 5 people drop off. It's so annoying that Sorry, I'm sharing my frustrations, people.
I said, I can teach that, no problem at all. I'll show you how to teach evolution, it's very easy. What a strange doctrine. What strange minds these people must have. Maybe some of you are here tonight. Very strange indeed. Have a look at it. You divide your board in half like this. On one side you write the word God, and on the other side you write the word nothing. And then you say to the children, have a look around at the world of design, and where do you think it came from? Do you think God designed it, or do you think it was designed by nothing? Forget about the amoeba, forget about the primeval germ, let's go straight back to nothing, shall we? Let's be honest. And if we go back to nothing, we can only assume that nothing was designed. And therefore nothing is here. Because if nothing designs nothing, there's nothing to design. And there's nothing to be made, you'll agree? The argument now is finished, it's all over. We don't need a court case. Creationism versus evolution, we don't need a court case, it's all finished now. That is the choice. And then I watch television programs and I hear about these wonderful things that God has made, and they dive into the sea and they find stuff they've never seen before. And so I tell the children that a scientist, a definition of a scientist, is a person who is discovering some of the things that God has made. That's what a scientist is. He hasn't shown us everything yet. The deeper in the sea you go, you find more stuff you didn't even know was there. God doesn't even care if you find it or not. He's a designer. A peacock came into our building. We were down the country preaching at a place called Calcairn. Anybody know Calcairn? Do you know where that is, dear? It's in from Albury, Wodonga. We had wonderful meetings there in a farming area, and we were staying on a farm, and a peacock came into the house one night, and he went, squawk. And I looked at the peacock, I said to May, look at the beautiful colours. An old farmer told us this. He said an artist could paint those colours on that peacock, but only God could build the feathers so they come out exactly the right length. So all the patterns are perfect on both sides. So at the judgment, all it takes is one peacock and everybody's gone. It's all finished with a peacock, that's all. It doesn't need to prove anything else. And I was excited. And then I hear these men on television saying, 50 million years ago, whales crawled out of the sea, and they dropped their fins and they grew legs. I thought, that's interesting. In my mind, I can see a great big heavy whale dropped his fins, he's grown legs. What happens next? Answer, he sinks in the mud. These people obviously are not thinking very clearly, are they? Not thinking clearly. Because he hasn't yet grown his feet, you see. You've got to have some feet, flat ones, to stop him sinking. But it takes a few million years to grow his feet, and so he sinks in the mud. However, they finally get up on the land.
Grab a lure tube.
And then they get up a tree somehow. Then they come down from the trees, and the result is us. I find that very hard to swallow, I'll be quite frank with you. I mean, it's interesting, but very hard to swallow. And then I see all in the newspapers, whales are beaching themselves all around the coasts of Australia. And wicked men are putting them back in the sea again. Don't they realise these whales are trying to become human beings? Now some of you, listen, some of you are not laughing, you know, because you're very angry tonight. Some of you feel like shouting at me. But I had a doctor on our Middle East tour one day. He said, Barry, the biggest proof against evolution is the law of entropy. He said that means the second law of thermodynamics says that nothing ever improves of itself. Everything always deteriorates. You have a box of apples, one bad apple, they all go off. And you'll find human beings will not come out as we are today. Charles Darwin said the human eyeball was beyond his understanding. Beautiful, friends. Better than the best camera you will ever buy. And this stuff is being taught to kids at school. It's the most stupid, ridiculous thing you've ever thought of. The beautiful creation. Once you get to know God, you'll understand his creation, and you'll look at it and you'll marvel at the way he made it. You'll stand and even look at a flower. Can you imagine a guy like me looking at a flower? Normally can't stand them, but when I discovered this, I thought, God, you're wonderful.
So true, man, and I really do love the comedic, because I feel like that really does break through a lot of people's indoctrinations a lot of the times. And you know, when you mock this stuff, like, you know, like, oh, it got stuck in the mud because it didn't have legs, it's just gonna have to wait there
for a million years.
Yeah, it's so preposterous because it is so preposterous. Okay.
Right. He's like, they're trying to be humans.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah.
How dare you put them back in the water?
Yeah, exactly. That's funny.
All right, let's see if this will work for us this time. I might just have to like play it where you shared it, because like it's going so slow. I don't even know if I see. It's like,
Can't even buffer, you know, all the other windows and stuff in there.
All right, let's see if it goes. All right, I'm gonna pause that. We're gonna come back to it. I'm gonna jump over here. So this is Vox Day. He is the owner and operator of unauthorized .tv, which is where Owen Benjamin hosts his streams. But he's also he is an intellectual, and I thought this was so clever of him to do. And so this is from his blog, and it says an AI disproof of evolution. It says, I asked Bard AI to write 5 paragraphs explaining the theory of evolution of natural selection is false due to the speed of genetic fixation across the species. And so this is what the AI said. It says, the theory of evolution by natural selection posed by Charles Darwin is his groundbreaking work on the origin of species. Has been the cornerstone of modern biology for over 150 years. However, a growing body of evidence suggests that the theory may not be able to explain the rapid emergence of new traits and species, particularly when considering the speed of genetic fixation across the population. Genetic fixation, the process by which a particular allele becomes universally represented in a population, is a critical aspect of evolution. It is the mechanism through which new traits are established and spread throughout a species. However, the speed at which genetic fixation occurs is often far too rapid to be explained by the gradual process of natural selection. For instance, certain species such as bacteria and viruses can undergo genetic fixation within a matter of generations. This rapidity of change is incomparable with the idea of natural selection, which operates over much longer timescales. Moreover, the complexity of many adaptations further challenges the concept of natural selection. Many adaptations, such as the intricate wings of birds or the intricate immune system of mammals, involve multiple genes and intricate interactions between them. The likelihood of these complex adaptations arising from random mutations in natural selection is extremely low. Furthermore, the fossil record, which, while incomplete, does not provide unequivocal evidence for the gradual transition between species as predicted by natural selection. Instead, it often shows abrupt changes in morphology and physiology, suggesting that specification may occur in relatively rapid bursts rather than through slow incremental steps. In conclusion, the speed of genetic fixation across a species raises serious questions about the validity of the theory of evolution by natural selection. The rapidity of the change, the complexity of the adaptations, and the gaps in the fossil record suggest that an alternative explanation such as punctual equilibrium or intelligent design may be more plausible. While further research is needed to fully resolve these issues, the evidence presented here casts doubt on the traditional views of evolution as gradual, purely naturalistic process. So, this is a follow-up. We're not going to read this. This is actually a pretty good summary of the way in which genetic science has completely exploded the first vestiges of the neo-Darwinism synthesis and its various eclipses. What's lacking, as I come to expect from the AI systems, is the mathematical particulars that are necessary to stimulate the proof of the logic involved, which is a result of AI being essentially innumerate and worse, unaware that its attempts to utilize numbers tends to result in complete fiction. Okay, so he also had, we're not going to read it, but he also had where he, it's more about the math part, and I thought that was the one I saved. But quickly, he basically just does the math. He has AI and he does the math. He has AI do the math to show it's impossible with the time that they've been given, that they have allotted for these changes to have taken place. Their numbers are so off. It becomes a logical impossibility of it even occurring. So we're gonna try to watch this ODD TV again. Looks like it's buffered some. Hopefully it will work. Anyone have any thoughts about what I just shared about Vox Day and his conversation with the AI?
No, it had so many different word salad things in there. I kind of zoned out.
Well, apologize if y'all zoned out, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was good. It made, I thought it was interesting. It made, the point that it doesn't have an answer for how these changes come about rapidly, it seems. And so it seems intelligent design, and I don't remember what the other one they said something about equilibrium are more of a better explanation.
Yeah, totally. All right, let's cross the fingers. Hope this works. Obviously buffered.
ODD TV.
Erasmus Darwin, the grandfather of Charles Darwin, was a Freemason and a member of the Royal Society, and he first proposed.
It's so frustrating. How does that make any sense? Do y'all see that it's buffered?
I see the buffer mark. I see it's like a third of the way buffered across the video.
Yeah. Is it your computer or
No.
your internet speed? I mean, why is this so?
No, because remember, we've literally done it with BitChute. We just played, like multiple BitChute videos, and there was no issue. It seems like it's 90% of the time it's a YouTube issue.
Yeah.
The theory of evolution in 1794 in his book titled Zoonomia.
So very frustrating.
Erasmus.
I'm just, at this point, I'm trying anything to make it work.
Off into all the species we see today. Charles Darwin.
All right, I'm going to, again, come back to this video. I apologize, people. It makes no logical sense to me, but it is what it is. Here's a couple-minute video of evolution debunked. So let's check this out. I bet this plays, like, flawlessly.
Science has proven evolution, therefore evolution is true. Since evolution is true and Christians don't believe it, then Christians don't believe science and they aren't rational people. Really, let's put that claim to the test. First off, evolution in the sense that things change is evident. No rational person disputes that. Therefore, rational Christians believe it. We can observe change. But evolution in the sense that life came from non-life and then that life began to randomly generate new genetic information and over time it eventually produced humans is something entirely different, and something that quite honestly doesn't hold up against science. In other words, evolution in the sense of molecules to man is not scientifically plausible and therefore should not be viewed as scientific fact. Quite honestly, it is in great opposition to science, that is, observational science, the kind of science we can test and repeat and use our five senses to understand. Science demonstrates that over time, living organisms lose genetic information. They don't gain it. That same science demonstrates that life doesn't arise from non-life. Follow along if you would. Fact 1. There is no known observable process by which new genetic information can be added to an organism's genetic code. None. That pretty much refutes evolution right away because there's no way to go from a fish to an amphibian without adding new information, right? If living organisms cannot produce new genetic information, how can anything gradually change into something of higher intelligence or form or complexity? That is, how can anything evolve from an amoeba to a man without adding new genetic information? The answer, of course, is that it can't, plain and simple. Now, some have speculated and they have imagined all kinds of things, and they brought in artists to produce creative renderings based on guesses, and they have been successful in telling a very convincing story that humans evolved from ape-like creatures. But those are just drawings, people. They're just stories. But what we really observe is humans are humans and apes are apes. Now, if fact 1 buried evolutionary thinking deep into the Precambrian soil, this next fact, fact 2, tosses so much sediment on it that not even the greatest team of paleontologists with the latest subterranean gizmo could dig up the remains. Check this out. Never, again, never has it been observed that life can come from non-life. So here are two major scientific evidences against evolution. I reiterate for clarity, life has never been observed to come from non-life, and there is no known observable process by which new genetic information can be added to the genetic code of an organism. So molecules to man evolution doesn't really make scientific sense. Yet we are all here, and life is all around us in various forms. Although evolution cannot account for this, the Bible can. The Bible reveals that the all-powerful, all-knowing, supernatural God created the heavens and the earth out of nothing, and all life according to its kinds, that is, each with its own set of genetic information. So, again, what the Bible reveals makes sense of what we see and understand. Evolution does not. Enough said.
Boom, shakalaka. That was funny and entertaining and very concise and to the point. Loved it.
Yeah, it really does explain it. But I got a question. Do they still teach evolution? I mean, I really don't know what they teach in school still.
Yes, they still teach Darwin evolution.
Oh my gosh.
They even still have many of the drawings that have proven to be fakes and other supposed, fossil records and, hoaxes throughout the centuries that they teach is still fact.
Yeah, it's so preposterous. So I just wanted. We're not going to spend too much time here. I just wanted to briefly explain. Often evolution people will say, "Oh, but look at the fossil record." Well, guess what, guys? The fossil record is very incomplete, guys. We have no idea. We have missing segments. We have skipped skipped pieces. And that's even more shown within the specific human evolution. Now, I want to say something about this really quick because they say, oh, this is a Neanderthal and this is a human. Well, we do know that humans, per scripture, lived much longer than our current humans did. And one interesting thing about a human, it's interesting how close these look together, right? But interesting, this part right here of a human never stops growing. So if you watch, if you look at a brow of a, let's say, 30-year-old man and the brow of a 80-year-old man, there will be a significant increase in that brow ridge. And so within what is the proof of human evolution? It says the proof of human evolution is continued trends found in Australopithecus, I can't say that, and homogeneous, specifically longer legs, smaller teeth, cranium. Okay, so no new discoveries are found at the time that uproot and revolutionize what science understand about past homins, such as the discovery of Dinosaurs 2009, bunk. When did modern humans appear in the fossil record? Modern humans, Homo sapiens, appear in the fossil record as early as 300,000 years. Their skeletal remains match modern humans anatomically rather than other Homean species. And it says, how complete is the human fossil record? Scientists do not know how complete the record is. It is ever-growing list of fossils that better help us understand evolutionary past. Specifically, new discoveries always challenge the fossil records, such as the discovery in 2009. So, the real quick point that I'm trying to show here is even within their own structure, they acknowledge they don't have their beliefs, their theories do not show does not show all that needs to be shown. So, okay, let's try this one more time. ODD TV. If this doesn't work, we're just going to close it and unfortunately don't get to watch it. So let's see what happens.
1794, in his book titled Zoonomia, Erasmus suggested that all life had evolved from one common ancestor, which over time branched off into all the species.
All right. We tried, guys.
Today.
Don't y'all think it's interesting how I literally just played a video and it like almost played perfectly, and then I play a different video and it's just like, it's so annoying. Okay, this is a little thing. Oh, go ahead.
Right?
Huh?
BitChute.
Yeah,
was one of them BitChute and the other YouTube. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Here's YouTube.
Here's a little Facebook reel that our dear brother Robert shared with us. This is Kent Hovind, and what I'll say, like we said before, eat the meat, leave the bones. He's got a lot of bones, so just take the gravy and leave the rest. So let's see if this will play for us.
He was arrested for his testimony against evolution. You know that, right?
Oh, when?
He was in jail for almost 7 years.
Oh yeah, back in the day. Well, that was because of payment stuff. That was like
tax evasion. They got him on that, but I think it was because of his conviction against evolution.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, and he makes a lot of good points. All right, let's see if this will play. I like how this is.
It's got 6 different meanings. First would have to be cosmic evolution, the Big Bang. Where did time, space, and matter come from? Then you have to get chemical evolution. There's 92 naturally occurring elements. How do you get gold, silver, and platinum out of hydrogen gas? Then you got to have stars evolving, stellar evolution. Nobody has ever seen a star form. Then you have to have organic evolution. Life has to somehow come from non-living matter. Then you have to have macroevolution, where an animal changes from one kind into another. Nobody's ever seen these first 5. The Earth formed 4.5 billion years ago. And then this first life form that came out of the soup had to somehow transform itself into everything else today. So that little amoeba, single-celled creature, turned into a whale and a giraffe and a pine tree and everything. Look, you guys can believe what you want, but don't call that science. Evolution's not part of science. It's a religious belief.
Absolutely. And we were talking about that before.
Yep.
Good.
Because it's just so... Yeah, it's so evident. This is why it is important to realize that the information in DNA is not just complex but specific. So this kind of goes to the irreducible complexity and the specific complexity. And so I'm showing this because, okay, so we already talked about, let's say, the smallest form of life. Well, that smallest form of life had required to have DNA in order to assemble all those building blocks of life into what would be referred to as life. So let's check this out real quick, and we'll go from there. Hopefully it's YouTube and it'll play for us.
Talk a little bit more about what that information is like. It's not just complex information, it's specific information.
Very good. Let me give just a little bit of a science lesson here. There are two different definitions of information that engineers and scientists and ordinary people are familiar with. In the engineering world, there's something called Shannon information, or it's a mathematical formula that describes how much information can be carried along an information channel. So it's sometimes called information carrying capacity. And the mathematical definition of information only captures a part of what we typically mean by information. It just refers to the improbability of a sequence of characters. The more improbable an arrangement of characters, the more information is being conveyed.
Yeah, it's like an alphabet where you just have gibberish. You got a lot of letters, but
right.
It doesn't do anything.
So look at for example, on this slide you have at the top IUINSK. The gibberish string is an information carrying channel. It could be arranged to convey information, but we don't know whether it's functional or non-functional. We don't know whether it's conveying any meaning. But we can still calculate how improbable that exact string is, and that's all the mathematical theory of information does. It calculates the information carrying capacity, but it doesn't tell us whether the information is functional or specifically arranged to convey a function.
Yeah, and DNA has.
I apologize, people. I don't understand. How is it buffering? Like literally, watch this. I'm gonna do this because it's so frustrating that I want y'all to see that I'm not just making this stuff up. Show you my speed test.
Oh, I know you're not.
I'm gonna have
watch it on other videos.
Yeah,
you play other videos perfectly fine. BitChute, Rumble, Rockfin, whatever. But as soon as you play a YouTube video, especially certain ones, more than others, it seems to run slow. It's weird.
Yeah, like ODD TV, they're like, no, we're not gonna let you play that.
I swear, it's so weird.
I'm not going to waste my time, but it just sucks that I have these things up to share and then I can't share them. Anyways, let's try this again. If not, we'll play this last little bit and then we'll call it a stream. I press play and it automatically starts buffering.
It has the second type of information, and here I use an English analogy with tide and time, wait for no man. A clearly functional string of characters that is conveying information that is meaningful. Okay. Now, there's some terminology that goes with this. The top string is said to be complex, but it's not said to be specified in complex. In mathematical parlance, complexity and improbability are the same idea. So the more improbable, the more complex something is. But DNA isn't just complex. It's not just an improbable arrangement of characters. It's specified and complex, just like English language or computer code is specified and complex. So when we talk about the DNA enigma, the the mystery surrounding the origin of the information you need to build the first cell. We're not just talking about information in the mathematical sense of improbability, like the first line in the slide to my right. Instead, we're talking about information that is specified. The arrangement of characters matters to the function the string of characters performs. And that's what we have in DNA. And Francis Crick made that point very early on when he said he was aware of the mathematical theory of information. He said, well, when we're talking about information in DNA, we're not talking about merely mathematical information, merely Shannon information, as it's called by engineers. We're talking about specified information or functional information. And here he says information means here the precise determination of the sequence, either of the bases in the DNA or the amino acids in the proteins. Those subunits of those important molecules have to be specifically arranged to perform the jobs that they do inside cells.
This has been an ATRI production.
So yeah, I guess my kind of final message, we already kind of watched this irreducible complexity, so we're not going to go back into that. We're going to end it with some funnies before we go. But yeah.
You muted yourself again.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. And you're still muted, if you didn't know. And no one can hear you.
No one can hear you, Vader.
I'm sure he's saying he's trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
He's off in another world.
Maybe his headset died.
YouTube Grappler lands, yeah.
To Grappler land. I like what you said in the chat. Something. I don't know. Something about.
We'll just blame it on YouTube.
Okay. We can't hear you, Vader. Still can't hear you.
No.
Yeah. Still can't hear you.
They cut off your audio.
Did your mic plug get pulled out? Oh.
All right. Keep working that. Figure it out.
Well, Kyle, take it away.
Wait, we'll see if we can play this last video here. I'm sure this audio can be settled.
This is dead air.
Yeah.
Not good. We should sing.
I just got a weird notice in my Discord that said that
while we're waiting for Vader.
I felt like I was falling.
I just hope you all know that we're wonderfully designed by the Creator. Everything we need is on the inside of us. Just look into holistic medicine and tap into all the greatness that you were given. That's the gist of this show. Just to inform you on how great, wonderfully the Creator has created us. We need nothing.
Only him.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Amen. Vader, where are you?
You're here. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, you're back. Oh.
Interesting.
Let me.
Hey guys, can you guys hear in the chat? Vader. Let's actually let me play the stream and see if I can hear. Hold on, I'm about to. No, they can't hear you.
How about now? Did that work?
I'll have to wait until they can.
I think it's good now because I can see myself on Discord. I can see myself in Streamlabs, so I think we're good. Guys, I literally didn't do anything.
Yes, it did. I heard you. I heard you on YouTube.
It literally just stopped. My mic just stopped working. I had to unplug it, replug it, change the settings, unchange the settings. That was so preposterous.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, confirmed.
Dear Lord, I apologize everyone for that dead air. Okay. Well, I'm going to try one more thing to see if I can't make this work out a little bit better. I'm going to close that whole one, bring a new window open.
I wonder if we should start putting more BitChute videos.
I think I may have a solution, but it might work. It works for me anyway with the whole ad blocking.
Oh, is that what it is?
Ad block?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I think I read an article where if you have ad blocker, YouTube is maybe that's what it is.
It'll grab you.
Okay, well, let's see if this works.
I'm sick of this crap. I want to be a dude. Yeah.
Let's skip it a little bit.
Every generation's thought they had science.
Okay. So let me bring this up for y'all. And we'll close it on some laughs, because this type of stuff really, we talked about it and we gave it some intellectual, honest conversation. But at the end of the day, it really should just be mocked, because as Frankie B were saying, we were beautifully and wonderfully created. We're not here by some happenstance. So let's get some laughs in before we call it a Shabbat.
Figured out. Nobody did. You used to get a cold and they'd bleed you. Oh, he's the smartest guy in our village. I always felt like I was falling behind in science class when I was a kid, and I figured out why. It's because science teachers, they speed through everything, so you don't have the time to ask any questions, and by the time they get done, they just give you a D, and you're like, all right, I'm cool with that. I go to 7th grade, and we can do it. That's the game. I remember when I was a kid, they never let me ask any questions. The teacher would be like, all right, boys and girls, everybody open up your books, page 52. All right, kids, look at the diagram. Check this out. A long, long time ago, all of us in here used to be monkeys, right? Then we turned into this Chewbacca circus carnival freak show looking thing, but now we're all people. Next chapter, move on, no questions. Well, guess what? I had questions. How come monkeys are the only animals that were ever allowed to turn into people? Yeah, how come there's no two-legged giraffe with a short neck walking around vaping? Because it ain't real. Yeah, not to mention the fact we still got monkeys. What, that guy used to be a friggin' duck? Stupid. The science teacher lady came up to me after a show one time, right? She comes up, she's like, excuse me. That's how they talk, right? She didn't do that. That's what make her look stupid. She's like, excuse me. Can I talk to you for a second? I was like, yeah, what's going on with you? She goes, let me tell you what I think. I think you just make fun of things you don't understand. I was like, I can live with that. Yeah, okay, stupid. Here's what she said. She goes, we've always had monkeys just like we do now. And since not a long time ago, a group of those monkeys broke away from the other monkeys to become people. These monkeys stayed monkeys. These monkeys became people. Yeah, I'd have loved to have been at that campfire. You know what I mean? I'm sick of this crap. I want to be a dude. You know? Stupid.
Alrighty, so let's go ahead and end it.
I don't want.
Go ahead and end it with that. It's a very funny bit. It's very mockable, and sorry again for all the issues that we had technically, guys. I'm gonna look into the whole Grabbler tube thing and about the ad blocker, and hopefully we can fix that issue. Hopefully that is the issue, and it's not just Grabbler tube being Grabblers, which it kind of is either way, but. Sweet. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and jump back on camera. We'll say our hellos and our goodbyes, and we'll call it a stream. So we'll jump to you, Marcia. Let you start off if you'd like to say your goodbyes.
Well, goodbye, everyone. And this is when I look at it now and even think I ever thought it, I don't think I ever thought it through. It just, they said so, and we came from apes, but it is so stupid. It's retarded.
Yep. It's 100% retarded. Yeah, I completely agree. And, you know, it's like, I will say something for me is, you know, I even use that as apologetics, right? Like when I used to be, I was still Christian, but I would use scientific rhetoric as apologetics that see God exists. And had all these, you know, and it's so easy, definitely in our modern time, how easily it seems like the modern Christian will be so quick to mix science and, you know, evolution, even more so into scripture, right? Or dinosaurs into scripture, or the heliocentric model into scripture. It's like a pattern.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us always, sister. We'll jump over to you, Kyle, brother. What you got for us?
You're muted. Now we can't hear Kyle. Or him.
Yeah, I can literally see his thing lighting up, but we're not hearing him. Okay. So Kyle says bye. He loves you all. Shabbat shalom. Have a great week. Evolution is retarded. Sweet. Of course, GrabbleTube's got to grabble, but we'll jump over to you, Frankie B. Welcome for joining us always, brother. And what are your closing thoughts?
I've met some really stupid people. They might be from apes. I'm not sure. But with that said, even the stupidest of stupid people are created by God. So, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Just remember to dig deep. The truth is always right out there. It's probably right in front of your face, so just keep looking. And just know that God has created us. He's for us. He loves us. He's on our side. And with that said, have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining us, Frankie B, as always. Sweet. All right, guys. Well, we hope you enjoyed. Again, sorry for the technical difficulties. But hopefully it was still good. Love the comments love the comments that give us a little bit more feedback on the audio. Hopefully, regardless of the technical difficulties, we'd love some feedback. If my sound is good, if everyone else's sound is good, hopefully we can get that dialed in so that's no more of an issue for new people coming in or just people who would like to enjoy the stream. So. That being said, guys, until next time, check out tomorrow. We have Testaments of 12 Patriarchs, the Testament of Joseph. That is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. So if you're interested in hearing that read out and then a brief discussion, check that out on the channel. Other than that, guys, until next time, remember that Abba loved you first. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
It's your glory, conceal the mystery. You give us the honor to search a matter out. You raise up a standard to beat back our enemy. You establish this realm, and like a scroll you spread it out. Dig deep, search it out. Dig deep, seek it out. Dig deep, go on and walk it out. Dig deep, I give you oil to fill up your